allow me to take you back in time. The year is 2008. So, 11 years ago, roughly. It was, I believe, a Wednesday evening. My aunt decided to take myself, my brother, and my cousin to this new place that had just opened. And little do I know, that place would very well simply be Tony R's. Yep, today is the last day that Tony R's is open, if they didn't already close last night. So, happy Saturday, everybody. And now, how about I elaborate further on this story? It was, actually, yeah, it really was around 2008, so, yeah, 11 years ago. Cool. And so, you know, my aunt decided to take us to Tony R's, which is right over there. And with that said, you know, we go inside, and, you know, I'm thinking, wow, this place on the inside looks really nice, actually. I was about to jaywalk. I don't want to do that. Here's a crosswalk right here. I'll do that. So, you know, I get to, so we get inside, and I'm like, oh, this place is really nice. And then I take a look at the menu, and I'm thinking, everything looks a little bit pricey. But, you know, I was promised a steak, and now I do have my mindset on one. So I told myself, you know, I'd try and compromise and pick the biggest steak for the best price. And if you look at the menu, it was the Delmonico right there. And if you look at the price to the very end, you can actually tell that, you know, by comparison and, you know, dollars per ounce and what have you, it actually is the biggest, you know, steak for the best price. It is. So, I mean, it's definitely better than, you know, the 8 ounces for, you know, just $2 less. I mean, again, the Delmonico is like, you know, twice that size. So I'm getting ahead of myself. So it turned out to be the best steak I'd ever eaten. The Delmonico was. And little would I know that, you know, an anime and manga known as Toriko would come out. And, you know, I thought to myself, okay, if I am ever going to have a full course menu, somewhere along the line, I have to include something from Tony R's. And obviously the Delmonico, as I've said before, is, you know, my meat dish. And with that said, you know, over the last 11 years, you know, it's actually funny because before I thought about doing this video, I tried to count how many times I've actually been to Tony R's, and I was going to go into this whole spiel where I could count on both of my hands the number of times I've been there overall in the last 11 years. But come to think of it, it's actually more. Definitely more than 12 times, but not as many as 200 times. So somewhere between, you know, 12 and 24. So again, you know, that's averaging at least once, twice a year. In the span of 11 years, that's actually it's not very many, but for a special place like Tony R's, that's a pretty solid ratio, I think. So, a little fun fact about Tony R's. It was actually made for the sake of, you know, Corning is a big, you know, corporation. And, you know, you gotta get clientele. And what's the best way to get clientele to, you know, buy into you? You know, treat them to a nice dinner at what's essentially a steakhouse. And, you know, over the years, you know, it's stuck. You know, it grew in popularity, and, people were starting to debate whether or not that, really was as good as, say, the likes of Libs or Moretti's in Corning. Which, I like to think it is in a way. Granted, again, as of right now, and as of the time of its obvious closing, which may have already happened, I don't know. But, yeah. Tony R's has only been around for 11 years, whereas the likes of both Libs and Moretti's combined have, 200. So, yeah. Although, way back in 2008, I did believe that it really would reach, those heights. And, again, in a way it has. It's not, I wouldn't go so far as to say it's... here's the thing. I'll say that for the sake of, the fact I'm actually trying to pay this respect, that Tony R's for Corning would be say, Libs or Moretti's for Elmira. So, pretty neat. I'm actually walking around Center Street. I am Centerway Square. That is the name of the place I'm walking around right now. It's actually a really nice place. Nice little stage for Blast Fest when they have the live blast shows. That's really neat. Clock Tower. That's always really cool. Anyway, so in terms of how I'm feeling about all this, it's pretty obvious. I am sad. Even though I just went literally 2 weeks ago, I figured that was going to be the last time I'd go. So, yes, I'm sad that it's closing after today, if it didn't already. It's weird because it says it's closing on the 27th, but it never specifies if 27th is the last day if they're open, or if it's closing starting on the 27th. I never really could get that lingo, but that's, I guess I'm just sort of buying into that too much. So this is going to be a relatively heavy loss for the city of Corning. Not as critical as, say, when they stopped having the LPGA tour come to the Corning Country Club, but it's still pretty serious. But if you think it's going to be but if Tony R's closing is the end-all be-all, I really have to disagree with that, because that's not even remotely how it is. Because not just Market Street, but the entire city of Corning existed long before Tony R's came into existence. Heck, if anything, Market Street and Corning existed long before the person who came up with Tony R's came into existence. So, it'll be fine. And plus, there are plenty of other places on Market Street that are great too. You have Sorges, The Cellar, Three Birds, Anelio's for pizza, Atlas, also for pizza, the Old World Cafe. Yeah, it's actually really the Old World Cafe is more for lunch and, snacks or sandwiches or whatever, but, still counts. And if you really were dead set on having, fast food, maybe you could go to Burger King. And Nine Elephants. I've never been inside Nine Elephants, but, I've seen what their menu is, because that's actually a really neat thing that I was about to mention. Tony R's may very well been, the very first place I'd ever seen that actually kept their menu outside the door. So in case there's, a long line, you can just look at the menu so you would know what to order. That way you could sort of help move things along. I'm sure that there were other restaurants that were doing it before, but Tony R's was the first place that I noticed that was doing it, so that was really cool. So, in full disclosure, long before Tony R's even existed, my family was always going to Sorges, which, funny enough, the only reason why I never mentioned Sorges outside of very, very, very brief occasions was I would either forget to talk about it or it just would never come up in the conversation doing all these videos. Sorges is, they're OG. In fact, you know what? I never did say this about, I am talking about Sorges, I might as well. I do believe they set 2 Guinness World Records for like the biggest bowl of pasta and the biggest bowl of sauce. Or maybe it was the longest pasta noodle. I forget what it is. But I know they have a Guinness World Record set. And it was actually, I'm bringing up Sorges now also because literally around the time Tony R's came into existence, believe it or not, Sorges actually suffered from a fire. A very serious fire. The place was nearly burned to the ground, in fact. Although, I really wouldn't, although now that I just said that, someone's probably thinking, maybe someone from Tony R started. No, that's not how it works. I guarantee that's not even remotely how it worked. You know, the fire was just an unfortunate inconvenience. And it was pretty sad. But, yeah. So, again, you know, you have lots of places on, I mean, yes, Tony R's is closing, but you have lots of other places to, you know, go and, you know, get yourself a bite to eat, or walk around here, or whatever. You know, I just mentioned like a whole bunch of places on Market Street. That was like the tip of the iceberg. There's Evergreen, there's the R&M, there's there's Rico's, there's Oaks, there's guy around his back right there. Anyway, so yeah, if you're looking for a place to eat in Corning, you don't really need to go very far. Although you really are never going to find anything like Tony R's. So, if anything, it just asks the question, where do we go from here? I mean, again, nothing is ever going to be as grand or as fancy as, you know, Tony R's was. But I'm very much open to the prospect of something new coming along, because you guys know me, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. That's how I've always been. So, I like to believe that whatever comes next, I get the feeling that at best, it's going to imitate what Tony R's was able to do, but it'll never be able to duplicate it. Remember, kids, always imitated, never duplicated. I think that's how the saying goes. All I know is that it rhymes and it's awesome. But yeah, it's a pretty bummer of a day for that reason alone. And actually, come to think of it, the fact that it's really cloudy outside is probably apropos for a video like this. Not that I meant for it to happen, but you know, it's just how it is. I mean, as for the reason why Tony R's is closing, I mean, I just showed you guys the menu a second ago. Those prices are steep. And I didn't even get into talking about the other things at Tony R's I've had that I like. You know, the Caesar salad, the French onion soup, and the sides. I mean, again, actually, I just showed you what I ordered. I didn't really show you the menu yet. Hold on. I gotta walk back across the street. Excuse me. I mean, yeah. Sorry. Hold on. Hold on a minute. I mean, again, I can just show you the menu again. You'll see that, you know, the prices, you know, again, this is the kind of place where you go if, like, you either have the cash to burn or you're packing a lot of gift cards. Which, funny enough, the last time I was here, I was. In fact, I mentioned earlier in the video that my aunt was the one who took my brother, my cousin, and I. The day we went here, see, that aunt had actually just passed away last December. And we actually went to church because the mass was for, you know, my aunt. You know, they like to dedicate the service to people in church or whatever. So, yeah, it's very serendipitous that after that particular mass, we came here. So, yeah, here's a better view of the menu. Very spiffy, is it not? Now, where's the... I thought they had the size here somewhere. Huh. Weird. Oh, here they are. Yeah, see, the sides are a la carte here, and, you know, it's obviously on the really expensive side. So, my rule of thumb was, if it was just myself or another person with me, we wouldn't get sides at all. But if you're going with, like, 3 or more people, someone would probably want them. So, for either the Delmonico or the Saturday night prime rib special, because that was also my rule of thumb. On any other given day of the week, I would order the Delmonico. But if it was a Saturday, I would get the prime rib special. I would get the king size right here because I'm a grown man, and so the best side, if you were gonna get sides, at least for the Delmonico or the prime rib, because they're both ribeyes, so they're the exact same cut of meat, just prepared differently. Grilled, slow roasted. So there you go. And the sides I would recommend would be the where are they? Yeah, the caramelized onions or the sautéed mushrooms. But my brother, my family, the rest of my family, they love the scalloped potatoes au gratin. Where is that? Here it is. Spinach. Spinach. Yeah, cream spinach right there. So yeah, that was, my brother loved the spinach. But yeah, I'm like getting ahead of myself, or too far ahead of myself. I don't know. I'm just so full of emotions right now. I mean, I'm not gonna completely bawl on camera or whatever, but it's still, this is pretty heavy. It is. But if there's one thing I've known about Crystal City, USA, or Corning, that's what I like to call Corning, it's that even though glass can shatter, and even though that stuff can happen, something better will always come. Something better will always be on the horizon. And yes, glass may shatter, but in the hands of a good gaffer, you can refortify it into something better. Seriously, I mean, it's called Crystal City, USA because, it's Corning. It is the city of glass. So, yeah. Fun fact about Corning, they actually provide the glass, I've said this before, but they actually provide the glass for for your smartphones. So if you're holding onto a cell phone right now, or smartphone, you're likely holding glass from Corning. So that's pretty neat. Anyway, I better get going. Got a long day ahead of me, and it should be a good day. It's supposed to be nice. It's supposed to be, actually kind of don't mind it's cloudy. It's actually nice out. In spite of the fact it's really cloudy, it's actually nice out. I like that. But yeah, I better get inside and get going. So like, favorite, share, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on social media platforms. Turn on notifications on YouTube. I am humbled I made this video for all of you guys to watch and enjoy for today. I am hopeful you all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Saturday. And remember, if any of you guys ever want to talk or chat, I'll always be here to lend an ear, and I'll always have your back. Take care, make good choices, and to the good people who are working at, Tony R's, and actually, I hear the owner's also kind of on the not very well side, kind of sick. So I hope you're okay. And to the good people who work at Tony R's, thank you for all you've done over the last 11 years. You have no idea how privileged I was to have had your food. And, thank you. Take care.